I think what people are really wondering right now is what type of work is AI going to be able to do in the near future, and how much of my job is going to be potentially done by AI. So in that way, they know, okay, should I be preparing myself to do something different? Should I go back to school? Should I be skilling for a new job? Those are types of things that people are wondering, right? So, in your estimation, what types of jobs are the most likely to be performed by AI in the near future? And how can people begin to skill themselves to be valuable and still be a positive resource in the future to stay employed?
Right. I think, anything that is repetitive, clerical, something that the AI is good at, like summarization, automated emails, data entry, to some degree, data validation, uh, those are probably more high risk. Um, and what should people do to kind of prepare? That's tough. That's tough, Jonathan, because it's like, do you preemptively change something on a maybe, right? And sometimes you should, depending on your situation. Sometimes you shouldn't. Give an example. If you're planning to retire in 2 or 3 years, should you pivot now if you're only seeing 2 or 3 more years where that's happening? So
Yeah.
that's tough. At the same time, if you wait too long until the decision is made, then whatever transition you can make would be that much more difficult than it probably would have been if you weren't more prepared for it. Um, I believe, irrespective of AI, right, just in your own career journey, it's important to just like grow your skills, ask yourself questions about like, where do I want to be 5 years from now, 1 year from now, 2 years from now, and ensure that you're growing every year. Like personally, I give myself 1 year markers. What I want to do this year, what I want to do this year, what I want to do this year. And is that leading in a general direction one way? And you have to be willing to pivot if something happens. And hopefully whatever decisions you're making can, have a option A, an option B, an option C, or an option D, right? Um, and if your skills are there, if you have an open mind, then, whenever, things can happen either due to AI or company restructuring or some other reasons, you're able to be able to back to recover from that sooner, right? But to say, do I have a crystal ball of what jobs are going to be the biggest risk? I'm not sure. The AI is good at certain things. Those will be the biggest red flags. Um, but focus on the skills that can make you less replaceable, right? The things that separates you from the AI, because those things will always be useful. Um, that's probably the best advice I can give for that one.
Okay, so let's lean into that then, and let's take a optimistic point of view and say
Yeah,
the AI has not replaced your job, but you have redundant parts of your job, repetitive tasks that are being automated, which is what's going on, even before AI started to expand and become a hotter topic.
yeah.
Those things were going on already. What are soft skills? What are some soft skills that a person could lean into that would be differentiators, like you're mentioning, to make them valuable and better equipped to leverage AI in their jobs?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like, and this is advice that someone gave me during my first internship, probably 12 years ago, right? Your goal in many jobs is to replace your job. And that's counterintuitive. It's like, why do I want to replace my job? So you can do another one, right? So you can advance. If your job can be handled by somebody else or something else, and you've mastered your role in that degree, then you can move on to bigger and better things, right? So the fact that your job can be gone, right? I understand that sounds bad, but if you're trying to grow your career long term, you should be like, hey, how do I do my job so well? How do I automate it so good that I can do something else?
Hmm.
And in many cases, that's one thing that I try to do. Not necessarily, oh, I want to automate everybody's just, how do I make my job right? More automated and easier for me so that I can focus on another part of the business. Um, with that as a mentality, it's like, well, AI is simply a tool to enable me to make that even easier or to get there even farther, right? It's a tool to assist me in my job, right? So, like, how do I configure this tool to maximize my job and help me be that much more performant? So, you're saying, oh, it's automating a portion of my job. That's true, but the AI isn't going to tell you, at least today, well, maybe you should do this today. And this is where you should focus your energy, right? You wake up, I need to make 5 phone calls to client A, B, and C. I need to, go visit this particular convention. I need to, write these emails at these particular times. The AI isn't doing that today. At least I don't think it's doing that at scale, right? How do you intelligently break up your task and allow a tool to help you actually keep yourself accountable.
Yeah.
Um, and there's a way to structure that. I would hope that there's a startup out there that's able to better enable folks to stay on track, to keep themselves organized, to ensure that the task that they're doing is contributing to the success of whatever business they're working on. Because if you are contributing to that success, then why lose your job? You're contributing to the success, right? So like that's kind of where your focus could be, right? So again, think positive, right? The AI is strong, but at the same time, it's really difficult to build good AI, right? That's why there's so many of these folks, large companies will pay millions of dollars to hire these AI experts. Why? Because scarcity drives up the market value, right? And why is it
Yeah.
scarce? It's difficult, right? So there's lots of AI that isn't that great. And how do you make it great? You have to, really know what you're doing. That example I gave you earlier about is this a problem you really want to do? Is this data even suitable for doing this type of AI or this type of machine learning? You got to answer those questions, and then that solution has to scale. So, um, but yeah, and that's just one example of how you can use the AI to improve your job, like make yourself more efficient. Uh, there's also examples where the AI can be used to shift you seamlessly into another position, right? So like I have skills for X job, for X industry, for Y business. What's a good alternative industry or alternative business or alternative role that is like a lateral move or I can catch on to it easier because of my skills? And, maybe I'll get a raise, maybe I'll take a minor cut, maybe I'll stay the same, but I can still continue with my life, and provide for my family. Um, and still bring value to the next business that I be employed by. So AI can definitely be used to help with that too, right?
Okay.
Um, so those are kind of the bright spots that I would kind of focus the energy on, right?
Okay. And you know what? I
Yeah,
heard someone mention kind of along the lines of what you're saying. They mentioned that you can treat like for the businesses that are already integrating AI into processes currently, right? Which is not a lot of them, but some businesses are further ahead than others, right? Um, for those businesses that the employees that are now leveraging AI tools can look at it almost like an employer employee, no, sorry, manager team member relationship. So the AI being a team member and them being the manager of the tool, even in how you have to give prompts and give instructions, in how you think about prompts, you have to make sure you're clear, right? Sometimes you have
sure.
to
Yeah,
give corrections and clarifications. You have to review their work to make sure that it's accurate, right?
right.
So I'm wondering if like a lot of the skills that individual contributors in particular will need to develop are almost managerial skills in how they look at their work and how they manage things, thinking more strategically versus being the doer of the work and having the AI tool pick up some of the things that that it is able to do, right? Um,
Yeah,
Managing relationships with people, stakeholder management, and things like that, to manage projects efficiently and those kind of things. So maybe some of the soft skill development is more on the managerial side of things, which is going to be a shift for a lot of people who maybe don't even really aspire to be managers or leaders and don't have some of those skills developed.
It could be on the soft skills side. It could be on many different avenues, productivity, right?
Yeah.
You said something interesting, like how many businesses are successfully leveraging AI. That's an interesting point, right? Every year, I believe Forbes publishes an article or somebody, that 80 or 90% of AI projects fail, right, in businesses or fail to produce some level of ROI, right? And why is that, right? We talked a little bit about, like there's a something as a species of a human that we want some level of togetherness, right? Collaboration, and many companies, there's a culture war, right? There's a need to transform, but there's also a need for the status quo, right? And we don't know which direction things are going to get pulled, right? But that's what makes it interesting, right? AI's been around for a long time, 60 years, right? And there's been a lot of transformations. It's been a lot of instances where folks have lost their jobs too, and not necessarily because of AI. It could be offshoring, it could be, industries just evolve. One problem can also bring 10 more problems, or one solution can also generate more problems. So it's there's always going to be something to do, right? We're not going to be in a world where everyone kicks up our feet. I mean, one day maybe, right? At least for my kids, right? I don't see that being a problem for them, right?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Very, very glass half full still. Very, very low,
Still,
low.
still, still. Right? The most thing the thing I'm most worried about is, and there's two things, right? If you're worried about the AI, right? If the AI is done well, then the AI is a good thing. It's not biased, right? It's producing outcomes, ROI. You're able to be more efficient at your job. It just helps you, right? If the AI is done poorly, then short term, we might think it's doing well, but then long term, we're going to find all the issues with it anyways, because nothing's ever perfect, right? You have to go through middle several iterations, right? Um, and then folks might just go back to what they know, right? Because this may or may not be working out. So there's going to be quite a long period, I imagine, of transition if there's a transition, right?
Yeah.
Like what works well, how well does it work? Like how do we use the AI in a self checkout, right? And think about a self checkout, right? That was debatable, ethical. At least it had all sorts of issues with it, and some companies adopted it quickly. Other folks were like, "No, we're not going to do that," right? So, where
Yeah.
does that fall? It didn't sort itself out in 2 or 3 years. I can tell you that, right? It took some time. So, like, we have time to figure this out, right? It's just you don't want to lose sight of it. You shouldn't be too comfortable, but you should be like, okay, let me be aware. Let me build my skills. Let's be aware, but take like positive action. But no need to panic, right? At least not today.
Okay. So your
Yeah.
guidance is continue to lean into the things that you know offer value, that make you of greater value to the organization, whatever those
Right.
things are, as you normally would. Um, and should any, task, repeatable task get automated, just be adaptable, be flexible, and willing to lean into other things.
Right. And that's kind of where we've been even before AI,
Yeah,
right?
before.
Like the era of, you know, um, being in the same role for a long time, that has shifted. It just has, right?
Yeah.
With retirement plans to the 401k to enabling mobility, um, AI could be a catalyst for greater mobility, right? But we've already been on that train before this new trend. So
Right.
will it accelerate it? Maybe, maybe not, right? But you got to think mobility, and I agree with you, right? Like, is there a way for us to use AI to coach us on what's the best next fit to like provide value to society, to a business, your long-term career? Is there a way to use AI? Absolutely, 110%. The data is there. There's avenues to leverage AI to drive your career. 110%, right? So
Yeah.
there's a lot to be optimistic about,
Yeah.
right?
And I think some people have been maybe more proactive about taking ownership of their careers than others. And so I could see if you're an individual who maybe has been more reactive and kind of coasting a little bit in your career, like you've gotten comfortable. This could be particularly scary because it forces change, and human beings in general don't like
This is true.
when change
This is true.
is forced upon us, right? So it can be a scary thing. But to your point, a lot of the things that are going to provide us a greater sense of stability, a feeling of stability anyway, are the things that we should have been doing anyway, which is taking ownership of our careers, looking ahead, being forward thinking, looking at what skills are being more valued in my profession going forward, making sure we lean into those and double up on those. And since we can't really predict where AI is going to go, to you were mentioning earlier, you could be preparing for something that never happens and go and invest in a route that just never comes to fruition. So the best thing we can do is stay agile and stay flexible and continue to be owners of our careers, developing ourselves, developing relationships so we can maximize opportunities, right? If your business somehow decides that your role is one that AI can perform a large portion of and they don't need that role anymore, you're not bound to just do that role. You have a skill set
Right.
that you've developed, you have expertise and knowledge to bring to the table that you can transfer, whether it's transferred to a different industry, a different role, a different department and function. There's other things you can do. Sometimes we never thought of it. We don't want to. We're in a life stage. We're comfortable. I don't want to change. It doesn't mean you can't. So I just think sometimes
Right.
we need to think differently about how we manage our careers. And maybe this is forcing some people to do that that normally would not have gone that direction.
Right. And that's the thing is like, are you going to embrace, what could happen? Because we don't want like surprises to be there, but like, you know, it, what does it say? Hope for the best, prepare for the worst.
Yeah.
And if you go into a situation with no preparation, that's the worst situation you could be in, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, you should try to make yourself uncomfortable. That's an edge too, right? Like be in a position like, you know what, I shouldn't be comfortable because not just AI could take my job, the next person could take my job, right? It's like there's always a sense of uneasiness that you should approach many of these situations in. And just look at pro athletes, man. Short careers, right? There's always another person, younger, faster, hungrier, right? That's coming for like they don't have the
Wimbier,
opportunity to be comfortable.
Wimbier.
Wimbier, right, 7'6" or whatever the height is, and blocking 8 shots a game. It's like, what in the world is this? Like, how am I gonna, be robust? It's like, man, you can't get comfortable because just as soon as you do, the game just changes,
Yeah.
right? They might change the ball, maybe it's faster. Now we're shooting threes and not dunking. Like, what is this? So it's you got to stay on your toes and be nimble. Otherwise, that's how it is at the highest levels for sure, right? It doesn't matter what you do, like business, pro athleticism, like you have to be nimble and adjust. Um, but if you feel comfortable, like don't, right? Just always have an edge. Try to make some type of goal, right? It doesn't have to be the biggest goal, right? But you should every year like focus on doing a little something that gives you a little edge, and in 5 years you'll have a big edge. But it sounds like a big leap, but it's not, right? You just got to kind of plan for it, manage it, and maybe you'll use it, maybe you won't. But it's
Yeah.
better to be safe than sorry. So
Yeah.
yeah.
As you said, no
Uh,
guarantees. Your job is never 100% guaranteed, even
mhm.
before, AI and all this, right? So,
Even before.
yeah, so you got to be prepared, invest in yourself, grow yourself, be forward thinking, own your career. And this
Yeah.
is just forcing some people to do that maybe hadn't been doing it. up until this
Yeah,
point. So
I'm not getting a pension, Jonathan, right?
yeah,
There's no pension for me, right? We have to save for retirement as we go.
yep,
Whether we do it or not, that's going to fall on us. So it's yeah, we got to be proactive.
absolutely.